Hey everyone, welcome back. Ethan and Brandon here again to discuss everything going on with the Red Sox. Again, we're recording just after the winter meetings have closed. We've already discussed Garrett Crochet, the big trade the Red Sox make. But now, obviously, there's still a lot of rumors the team is involved in. They've been involved in a lot of the big name guys this offseason already, even though they haven't secured most of them. But that's still a relatively good sign. And I think, the big name guys right now that everyone's talking about are Corbin Burns, the starting pitcher, and Alex Bregman, the third baseman.
Yeah, let's talk about Burns first. There's no way he's going to stick with the Orioles at this point. The Orioles can't afford him. There's a lot of talk that he's going to go to the Red Sox, fingers crossed for us. But there's a lot of talk also that he's going to go to the Giants. I think at the end of the day it comes down to price and preference. I mean, what are your thoughts about it?
Yeah, it's a really interesting situation because, obviously the free agent market this offseason has been lucrative for star player. I mean, Juan Soto signed an $800 million contract. Max Fried got $218 million. Blake Snell almost got $200 million. I mean, these star players are raking in the cash. The Red Sox can afford, these Red Sox, outside of maybe like the Dodgers and the Mets, the Red Sox can bid with anybody. They can afford any of these guys. It's just Corbin Burns is in his 30s. Is he worth $250 million, knowing that in like 4 or 5, halfway through his contract, he's probably not going to be as, he's not going to be the same pitcher he is right now. That's just sort of the calculation the front office has to make. And I think, look, him, Crochet, and Tanner Houck as a 1, 2, 3 in the rotation would make the Red Sox one of the best teams in the AL. There's no doubt in my mind about it. Even in a very competitive division. It's just the sort of nature of, the Giants are going to be bidding really heavily for him. There's going to be other teams, maybe the Cubs are willing to get in on that bidding. I doubt it, but maybe they're willing to get in on that bidding. It's just a question of, does the money make sense for the Red Sox?
I think the one thing you have to pay attention to with Burns is the Orioles season. I don't know how many of our viewers might watch the Orioles, but as an Orioles fan myself, I mean, look at the Orioles 2024 season. They didn't make it, anywhere close to the World Series this year, but a lot of what the Orioles season was not the defense, but it was power hitting and the starting pitchers. Unfortunately, when it came to, the seventh, eighth, and ninth inning, things completely fell apart for the Orioles. But Corbin Burns was a huge, huge team player when it came to, what brought the Orioles a great 2024 season.
Yeah, for sure. And he was unbelievably dominant in that one wild card start he had against the Royals. They obviously lost that game.
Yeah.
We were actually just next to the stadium while that game was happening, and that stadium was very quiet. But yes, Corbin Burns is the right quality of player the Red Sox need. Obviously, having Crochet gives them a little bit more of a, less of a need and more of a want. But besides him, again, there's other big names that are out there for the Red Sox. I think, again, Alex Bregman has been rumored a lot. I think that he would make sense, assuming that Rafael Devers has moved to first base, which we talked about before, which would maybe then push Tristan Casas to a trade for maybe another pitcher. Maybe the Mariners have a pitcher available. Another big rumor going around right now is the Red Sox traded Kyle Teal. He was the catcher of the future. The Red Sox need a catcher. They have Connor Wong, and he's a good hitter, but he's not a very good defensive catcher. There's a need for a guy who can handle this pitching staff, and there's not a lot of great talented catchers left. So there's just a lot going on right now.
I think it's funny because all of this, again, it's speculative, but it's also kind of a domino effect where, if one guy signs, one guy falls. If one guy doesn't sign, well, one guy steps up to the plate. It's so funny kind of watching the chaos of, the end of the winter meetings and, people, or excuse me, not people, but players who are still free agents and waiting to sign their next contract. I can only imagine what, the managers of these players, they must have such sleepless nights waiting to see what happens to their, to their players. And but for us, the writers and the journalists and also the fans, we can only imagine, we're probably, waiting on the edge of our seats to see what happens next.